Dealing with difficult people in the workplace sometimes makes the difference between career success and failure. When conflict rears its ugly head, can a better understanding of neuroscience help keep your cool? Mark Bowden is an expert in human behavior and the author of Tame, the Primitive Brain. What do you mean when you say the primitive brain, Mark?
Well, so if we take evolution as a given, there's a part of your brain, and Kevin's as well, and mine, which is 500 million years old in evolutionary terms. Goes right back pre-reptilian right to fish, called the brainstem or the R complex, or the reptilian brain as some people call it. And it looks after your basic bodily functions, your fight and flight system, and tries to keep you safe and you in places of benefit and out of places of negativity.
So how can I use this information to make money?
So what you can know is that people are very, very similar. We all react in the same way to some similar situations. So there's some predictability around what we would think are quite complex human systems. Essentially, you can predict quite a lot of human behavior.
And how would you use this? I mean, we're talking about in the office place and the difference between success and failure in a career.
So anywhere where there is stress, and offices are a place where stress often happens, people will start to behave in what we might imagine is quite bizarre ways. They'll do stuff that basically annoys us, and that can stop productivity and make the workplace somewhere that isn't great to be around. If you can understand the primitive brain, then you can understand how to manage and cope with the bizarreness at times of human behavior.
So there's a term that's been coined recently for aggressive managers or bosses called boss holes, which puts together the terminology as we can understand easily. Can this philosophy work to live under a boss hole? Because many boss holes are very successful. You don't have to make friends in business, you have to make money.
Sure, so you have to be able to manage those boss holes. If you're around them, it could get to such an extent that you don't want to work for them anymore and you want to take your resource elsewhere. And actually your resource would have been well used in that workplace, and you need to find a way of staying within that workplace. You need to manage your experience around that boss hole, which means understanding that they're often showing primitive behavior.
So give us one of your strategies then. Say, for example, I work in a small area. I'm in a cubicle right next to someone who's constantly having, you know, baby talk with her boyfriend or his girlfriend or whatever, and saying, whispering sweet nothings. It's so annoying. I'm trying to work, and I feel my primitive brain is being triggered, and I may actually lash out and slap someone.
Right. Well, if you actually lash out and slap them, you're probably going to pay a visit to HR at some point. So what you need to know is that around them, you are going to get triggered, and you're unlikely to be able to change their behavior. They're probably going to talk like that a lot, maybe 2-3 times a day. So one of the ways to win in this is to never be there. That doesn't mean leave the job, but can you get moved somewhere else in the office? Can you just go and sit somewhere else? Or is there a specific time that they do this behavior? Because if there's a specific time they do this behavior, hey, you can go and take a break at that time and then come back. It's knowing that they're unlikely to change, but you can change your behavior, and therefore you can have a better response.
I find it interesting you talk about not being able to modify somebody's behavior even though it's non-productive.
Sure.
Is that a new way of thinking? Because there's a whole different philosophy that says you beat them with a stick till they do what they're supposed to.
Absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with beating them with a stick until they do what they're going to do, although it can take a lot of energy and take a long, long time. So it's about what is economic. Is it economic to beat them with a stick until they change, which could happen after a long period or never? Or is it more economic to change your reaction, which you could do quite quickly and may well get you money immediately?
But this is what I'm wondering about when you say tame the primitive brain. I mean, it gives this image of something that's really quite wild and uncontrolled.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
have you ever lost your rag, you know, gone off on one?
Not at work yet. But I do have to work with Kevin quite a bit, so it could happen.
And how do you manage that? So look, we all lose it at some point. If we're not losing it at work, we lose it at home, we lose it with the kids, we lose it with our family, with people who will suffer that a little more than others. The key is being able to manage it. So that's why I say tame the primitive brain. You can't stop it. Well, the only way to stop the primitive brain is with some drugs, and I can't administer them. It would be illegal because it would kill you if I injected you with them. It's essential. Our instinct and this primitive nature is essential to us, but we do have to manage it.
So, looking forward to what you can learn from this in the corporate environment. I mean, there's a whole lot of philosophy that says, listen, if you could adapt it to one person, you can do it to the entire company. Are you advocating that you basically start and say, look, all your employees, get them in a room, say, you're all reptiles, let's face it. And because you slither around with your old reptilian ways, we're going to change how we work. That's basically what you're saying, right?
Right, so here's what we know about what I call tribes, which is groups that follow the same values, beliefs, rituals, customs, goals, concerns, and signals. Is they mirror the top of the pyramid, the person with the most resource. So if you run a company, you're seen as the leader, they will mirror you. What's the best way to change them? Show them the behavior you want them to mirror, and they'll start doing you. Being you. When CEOs and presidents of companies that I work with tend to not like the behavior they're seeing in their organization, the first thing I say is, well, all you're seeing is you, a big mirror of you. They're copying you. That can often be a little upsetting for them for a start, but then usually they smile and nod their head and go, yeah, you're right. They're just copying me. Just like my son and daughter, they copy me, because I'm seen as a resource holder within my family. When I get annoyed with them, what I'm really getting annoyed with is myself. I'm seeing myself in a lot of ways.
All right, well, interesting stuff. Thanks for being here, Mark.
Pleasure, thank you.